Okay, so I am going to be crocheting my spring/summer wardrobe because I just recently cycled out my yarns and got all my thinner weights. I recently bought some yarn. I am stash busting still, but I don't have that much cotton yarn, and I had some projects that I really wanted to make with, cotton. So I bought some yarn and actually already got started. I meant to film before I began, but I already did get started. So I made this, and I will insert some clips of what it looks like a bit better. But yes, so I made this. This yarn actually, I ordered it and it looked a little bit different of a pink online than in person. So the color is salmon. So in person, I'm like, yeah, that's salmon for sure. And it does show up pretty well on the camera as the color that it is, but it was originally a slightly different pink. So when it came in, I was like, what on earth am I going to use this for? This used up pretty much a full bowl of that yarn, and I have 2 more bowls to figure out what to do with. I'll probably make like a cardigan or something like that. Anyways, so I kind of got on this poncho journey, and there's a tutorial by It's Erin B, and I will link that down below. But anyways, so she had really good poncho pattern, and I just wanted to make something. This is what it looks like. The fringe, I haven't blocked anything. The fringe really needs to be blocked because it's all crinkly and it looks like ramen noodles. That a lot like ramen noodles, and it looks kind of tangled. I'm actually gonna try it on real quick. Yep, always messes up the hair. Note, do not wear anything pointy whenever you're trying on your crochet stuff, because this was not a good idea. It's sharp. I probably need to switch that out. Actually, I will switch it out real quick. I did feel it catch the other one a couple times, so I hope it didn't make anything. But anyways, this is what it looks like on the top. So it starts out green, and let's see if I can, oh, you can hear the squeak. Okay. And then you can kind of see the bottom. And this is the side, okay, so I ran out of yarn for tassels, and this is the only side that doesn't have something in every single loop. Actually, no, there's 2 sides like that. This is one of those sides. But anyways, there we go. I absolutely love this. It looks so pretty. I mean, just look at that gradient. I wouldn't have been sad if it just ended at the purple, but I want to use up the entire thing of yarn. I double stranded like she did. My yarn was a 1 weight instead of a 2 weight, but I still use the same hook, and I actually used the same stitch count of 72, same everything. I think I did 40 rows. 40 rows. And the tassels, originally I was doing them in every other loop, and there were 5 strands total, which of course you fold in half, it turns into 10 strands, but there were 5 strands in each tassel. And yeah, it looked kind of funny with it being in every other. So I just finished up the ball of yarn and made like as many loops as I could. And I just finished putting them on today. It's been forever. I've been doing tassels. The other ponchos I did the tassels for last night and today. So all I've been doing pretty much is just tassels, and I'm ready to move on. So when I started the tassels, every other chain space got, what was it? Got the 5 strands. Didn't look thick enough. So I wasn't about, it took me like 2 or more hours just to put those on one. So I wasn't about to go back and undo and make them thicker with the yarn that I had left. So I took the yarn, the rest of the yarn that I turned into strands from the yarn cake, and basically I just was doing 3 strands, and for 2 of the sides I had enough to put them in every loop. So 2 sides on this poncho. There's 4 total, but 2 of them do have something. If I turn it, this does have something in each one. Then I realized I wasn't gonna have enough to do that for all of them. I was like, come on, why? So yeah, so there's some gaps on the other two sides. It's close enough. I don't think I'm really gonna worry about it. If I do, I can just buy more yarn from Hobby Lobby and finish it. But yeah, so that's this one. I mean, just look at this gradient. Oh my word, it's so pretty. This is the second one I made, and as you can see, it is a lot shorter. This is 20 rows. So with this one, I did tassels in every loop, and there are 7 strands in each tassel. So I had enough yarn. So basically I've been trying to get rid of these yarn cakes, and that's why I wanted to make sure I used up all of it for this poncho, which is why I kept going and made it so long. Even though it's kind of impractical, it still looks really pretty. But then I doubled up with this, and then I had another in black and white and gray as the in-between color. And so I did that to help that double, whatnot. And basically, I finally have gotten rid of it. This is the yarn I have left from it. Just these 2 little things left. Did that, made this. The white one's my favorite, let's be honest, out of all the ponchos. The white and gray, it's such a pretty gradient. It's not showing up quite as well on camera, but it's so pretty in person. So for this one and the black one that I did, I added an additional 12 stitches, and for the record, this is following her symmetrical instructions. So multiples of 12. So this one I did 84 stitches, followed everything. I did 20 rows, or rounds, I guess, technically. So I did 20 rounds, and it fits amazing. So for the black one, I did the tassels a little bit differently on this one because I was testing out different things, but let me quickly try it on. So here's the black one. I did every 3rd one because I realized with the 20 stitches or 20 rows, it doesn't divide evenly into 2 if I want to make sure I get a tassel into each corner. So I actually found that out with the white one, and then I decided I would just put one in each loop. So this one has 10 strands in every 3rd loop, every 3rd chain space. That's what this one looks like. This one is also really pretty. I feel like the white and gray one's going to be easier to style. This one and then the rainbow one are going to be a little bit harder because I don't have as much stuff to wear with it, but I have some things I can wear with it. Yeah, this one's made the exact same way as the white one. So 84 stitches, starting out with 20 rows. It's just the tassels that are different. And I'm going to work on more. So that was just kind of like, it was like a very long, well, it wasn't really an intro, but I'm going to continue on and make some more projects. And this time I'm actually going to take you along the journey with me in making it. So maybe I'll just make this a part 1 video. Maybe I'll make one other project for this video and then do a part 2 because it is a little bit short. Okay, so back to this one, which actually one of my sisters thought it looked kind of weird because this is for the most part like straight, and then this of course goes out. She was like, it looks kind of funny. I'm like, well, it's a style thing. I personally like it. I plan on making another one just with it a little bit shorter. So the next thing I plan on making is a cardigan, and I actually have a few different tutorials saved on YouTube of cardigans that I want to make. So I think eventually I'm going to make all of them. But right now we're just going to start with one of them. And this time I'm actually going to bring you on the journey of me making it instead of just, whoop, oh, we're finished, let me talk about it, because that's not quite as interesting in my opinion to watch. I want to take you along for the process, even if there's not much process going on. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead, pick my yarn, hook, whatnot, pick which pattern I'm going to follow, and then I will see you again. I have officially picked my yarn, and this was frogged from a previous cardigan attempt last year, But anyways, I should have enough to make the full length long sleeve version of this cardigan. And I'm going to use a 4.5mm hook. So she's using a square weight yarn and a 3mm hook, and mine's a DK weight, which is a 3 weight, and then the 4.5. So hopefully this should be enough yarn. So just excuse the lighting, it's terrible, but it's night, and yeah, this is what it is. But I actually, before doing the sleeves, she has us go ahead and do the ties and do single crochets around this, and then seam out the sides, of course. I ended up going a little bit higher than originally planned. So for her, she did like the single crochet row right after the second patterns right here. And since my rows are longer because I'm using a larger hook and yarn, I just went up a little bit, and that ended up being perfect. And I started doing the sleeves, and she only shows you how to join the solid double crochet row and the mesh rows. But I was kind of trying to figure it out for all of like these pattern rows right here. So the first time I accidentally increased. So there's like this weird little bump. And then the second one, I kind of figured out what I was doing. And then this third one, I know what I'm doing, but I just tried it on, and there's no real way to get rid of the bump just because it looks weird. So I accidentally increased by like, I want to say 3 or 4 stitches. And so on the double crochet and single crochet rows, I was decreasing, but it looks weird. So I think I'm just going to frog it all the way back. And, just another note, whenever I was adding the double crochets around, she does 72 double crochets. Since of course I'm using larger hook and yarn, I was just trying to make sure it was a multiple of 4 + 1, like the panels. And I'm over here, I reached this part, and then I realized it should actually just be multiple 4. Otherwise the mesh stitches don't line up, because since it's not going back and forth in rows and you're joining it, it needs to be an even number of 4. Or just an even number. The 4 is actually for this stitch, but it needs to be an even number for that. So yeah. So anyways, I'm just going to kind of frog back up and then do what I figured out on how to join these. I just kind of was keeping it in pattern. I might adjust it ever so slightly, but yeah, this is just bothersome. Other than that, this looks really, really cute. I love the stitches. I love how it looks. I'm definitely going to block it, but since it's not any acrylic, I don't know if I should steam block it or if I should just water block it. I'm going to try just water blocking, and we'll see if that loosens it up a little bit, because it is just, you know, a little bit on the stiff side. But I'm going to frog this sleeve and then try again. The good news is once I figure out what I'm doing, it will be very quick doing this, because I got the pattern like it's down, it's in my head, I know what I'm doing. I started trying to block this about 4 hours ago, and I started by steaming, or trying to steam, but since there's no acrylic in it, well, I think steaming might work. It wasn't like the results I get from acrylic, so I just ended up wet blocking it. So I put it in a sink, got all wet with warm water, and I just kind of like was trying to pull the stitches out because I don't have a blocking board or mat or anything. And I was pulling out the sleeves and trying to make sure they were about the same length. And then I looked and I realized this one has only 3 of these pattern repeats, and this one has 4. I was like, are you kidding me? This was my second sleeve, so I had gotten finished with this one, and for some reason I thought since I was near the end of that yarn ball that it was time to do this, and I barely won the game of yarn chicken with that, and I ended up with this much yarn left. So I'm really hoping by blocking it, I kind of pulled it out a little bit and measured, and I think just the 3 repeats might be long enough, in which case I am perfectly fine frogging this back and then just doing the same thing on this side. But if it turns out this is the right fitting side, then I'm gonna have to join more yarn and weave in more ends, and I don't want to do that because then I'll also have to block in the new yarn. And anyways, it's been about 4 hours and it's still pretty damp. Obviously it is on my bed instead of on the floor in front of the fan, so it is taking longer, but hopefully it'll be dry by tomorrow and I can actually try it on. I finished the cardigan. I got it all blocked and everything. I will say I lost the game of yarn chicken. I ended up having to frog back. So originally I did have 4 pattern repeats for the longer side, and it was perfect. Lengthwise, it covered a little bit over my hand, which I do really like. But I didn't have enough yarn to do the same for the other sleeve, so I frogged that other pattern back, worked up. I did kind of reverse this one, so it's supposed to be the 1 box, or she calls it like squares, so just the singular one, and then the 3 like down here, but I flip-flopped it because I wasn't sure how much yarn I had, and I didn't want to run out of yarn in the middle of one of the mesh rows. Obviously, I had enough to do both, and I added an extra row of double crochet at the very end. And once I was done with that, I just blocked the ends of the sleeves, stretched them out as much as I could, and this is the result. I think it's very cute. One note, whenever I do this and I bend my arm, it does kind of cluster up like that on the lace part, but other than that, I have no problems. And it's not even really an issue. So here's the front, and this is the back. And again, I'm just so happy. This is a very, very cute cardigan. I definitely want to make another one at some point.